So tonight I'm going to show you one of the dishes, or actually two dishes that, sorry, I don't mean to like flash a knife at you, but two dishes that I have been cooking kind of as part of my regular routine in our, I don't know, we don't have an eating plan, but just recipes that I cook on a regular basis now. And they're Korean dishes, so I wanted to be able to share that on our channel. The first one I'm making is a Korean, well, we call it Korean soup because that's what the girls call it. But there's a lot of soups and stews and stuff in Korean food. But this one is cabbage beef soup. And so there's a base of soybean paste, doenjang, and then I cook onions and garlic, about a pound of ground beef, and then a head of Napa cabbage. And so this is about the size of the Napa cabbage. So this is my, it's about the length of my hand, a little bit longer, and I don't know, maybe 2 pounds. This will be plenty. And then you just let that all cook in water and everything. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the steps. The original inspiration for that I found was from another YouTube channel, Cooking with JTV, if you want to look for her. But she's awesome. That's where I've learned how to cook a lot of my Korean food. So I also like to put in shiitake mushrooms. The great thing is that we live not very far from a Korean grocery, or from a Asian grocery store. It's more Chinese centric than it is Korean. We do have H Mart around us, which is a Korean grocery store, but that's a little bit more of a drive. So we usually just go to AFC, as we call it, Asian Food Center, and that's where I get most of my supplies. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of this, and I'm also going to walk you through making kimchi pork egg rolls, which are a huge hit in my family. So that's what this video is going to be about. So hopefully we whet your appetite and you get to see how easy it is to cook Korean. So let me finish chopping some vegetables and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've done a lot of my vegetable prep for the Korean beef soup. I wanted to show you here. This is a little gas stove that we got from the Asian grocery store, and I really love cooking on this. I don't know why, I really do. It's just nice because our stove, if you can see here, we have an electric stove, and then to have the gas burner, it's just nice. And then I also picked this up at the Asian food store as well. And this is a casting wok pan, and it was actually made in Korea, so represent. And so it's like a wok pan, but it also works for like when I make this soup. So this is what I'm working with. So I'm going to turn my heat on. I've already got my gas connected, so you can see that is a flame. No! So I am going to go ahead and put some olive oil in there so that can start heating up. I'm not going to be able to give you exact measurements, but I mean you'll be able to see everything that I put in there. And then I'm also going to throw in my onions. So these are my diced onions. So those will be able to start sauteing. And I had some garlic cloves that I am not sure what I did with at the moment. Oh, there they are. So I pulled off about 4 garlic cloves, and this will also be going into there. I have my handy dandy garlic press from back in the day when I used to do Pampered Chef. That was short-lived. Okay, so there's that one. And there's 2. When you cook with this gas stove, the important thing to remember though is to have some ventilation, because you know, I don't know what it gives off, but so I just have the window cracked in the kitchen. Oh, and I don't want that in there. So. And then 1 more clove. I like a lot of garlic in my food, so I like the flavor, but it's also very healthy for you too. So a lot of garlic goes into my cooking. Alright, so that's good. And I'm gonna toss this over here in my compost pile. And rinse that off because I'll need that for the egg rolls. So, I've got my onions and my garlic sauteing. I'm going to add a little bit of water at this point, just a bit. So this was originally filled with 2 cups of water. It's really up to you how soupy you want and how much stuff you kind of add to it. But I probably usually end up adding about 4 to 5 cups of water. So this is the doenjang. It's soybean paste. Different than miso paste if you're used to like Japanese cooking. And I do about 3 big spoonfuls. Well, since these are really big, I probably do 2. So this is like the base that you're making right now. And to add a little bit of flavor, but without too much spice, because I am making this for my girls to eat as well, I like to add a little bit of gochujang red pepper paste. So I do just a small portion of that because I like a little bit of the flavor that the gochujang can provide. Sometimes I also add more to mine, but I think it flavors the dish nicely without adding too much spice that they won't be able to handle. And that's the thing with Korean cooking, is a lot of the things are really spicy, so I've had to tone things down and introduce just enough spice so that we get how the dish is supposed to taste, but that they also can tolerate it. So I like to just kind of smush the paste, get it into the water to kind of make this base before adding too much other water, because then I'm able to really, I feel like I'm able to manipulate the mixture a little bit better. It smells amazing. So I'm going to add a little bit more water here, and I'm going to let that heat up, and then we're going to get ready to add the ground beef. So again, like, you'll use about a pound of ground beef, and then you'll use, I already cut up my shiitake. I probably did about maybe 6 or 7 shiitake mushrooms. Really, whatever mushrooms you like. I've used the enoki mushrooms before, the really long, skinny ones, but that's kind of a textural issue for us that, I don't know, they kind of, I mean, they're stringy, so, but then I got shiitake, and that just adds a really good flavor, and they're really meaty, so we like that. So these will be I will add the ground beef next, and then I'll add the mushrooms, and then I'll add the whole head of Napa cabbage that gets cut. So I'm actually going to do that right now while this heats up before I put the ground beef. So that's what's I'm going to go on, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so you can see that this is now nice and melded together. I don't know. And so I'm going to add my pound of ground beef. It's not an exact science measurement, but it'll work. And I'm going to add a little bit more water. And then this will, I'm going to just kind of cut the beef up a little bit so it'll get evenly cooked. I will say this was the first recipe. I've never really cooked a recipe where you like put raw ground beef into something without like cooking the ground beef first, because chili, spaghetti sauce, you know, lasagna, whatever, like I'm always cooking the ground beef first. So this was the first time that I've ever just put the ground beef straight into the recipe without cooking it. And I mean, you don't really notice anything. It cooks, so it just had never occurred to me before to do it that way. So that's all nice and mixed in there. I'm going to let that cook before I add the mushrooms. So we'll give that some time to come to a boil and for all the meat to get browned, okay? The downside of cooking on these little gas stoves is that the gas does run out. So I'm having to actually stop mid-cook and replace the gas canister. So this is what they look like. I think they're like $5, $4 or $5 for a pack of 4. And then I'm just going to insert the new one here. Goes like that. You want to make sure that matches up. And then push it down. And we have a nice solid blue flame again. So, really quick and easy, but that's the only downside of cooking on these, is that sometimes it can run out in the middle of your recipe. Alright, so we got a nice boil. I had added extra water, so I'm about to a third of a cup of water left. So I've added 3 1/3 cup of water to the whole thing overall. I'm going to add my mushrooms to this. It smells amazing. I love this stuff. So we'll give those a spin, and then we'll add the cabbage, and then I'm going to let that simmer, and I'll get started on the egg rolls. I like to get this started so it can start simmering because I do like the cabbage to be softer. And I will also say that this leftover is amazing. Like, it's good the first go around, but it's awesome because as it sits in the refrigerator and overnight and everything, just like all the flavors and everything come together, and it's really good as leftovers. And we'll see what it looks like after I add the cabbage, but I might not actually add any more water because it's already pretty soupy. Alright, so this is the whole head of Napa cabbage that I washed and cut. I like mine in smaller pieces too, so I usually quarter the cabbage and then cut it, so that you're not eating like these huge chunks of cabbage on your spoon. Okay, so kind of let that get covered with this juice. And yeah, I think I am good on liquid. I'll reserve that extra little bit of water if I need to, but as the cabbage cooks down, obviously that adds more liquid to it. So we're going to let that simmer and I'll get started on the egg rolls. Okay, so I have everything almost ready to go for the egg rolls. In this bowl there is a pound of ground pork, there is a half of a cup of chopped onion, there's about a cup of shredded carrots, about a cup of chopped kimchi, 3 garlic cloves, and I believe that's it. So I'm also going to add into this a teaspoon of paprika, and even though I put the garlic cloves in there, I also like to put garlic powder, so I just kind of shake that in there, probably about a teaspoon, and then a teaspoon of turmeric, a little bit more, and then some salt, and I just kind of probably about a teaspoon, I guess, and some pepper. I use less pepper because pepper's not a favorite around the little ones, and then also about a teaspoon of sugar, so that's about a teaspoon or so. Alright, so then you mix all of this up. I'm probably going to actually add more of the seasoning too, because this seems like it's more than what I usually put in there. So probably about a teaspoon and a half of the paprika and of the turmeric. Okay. And then just mix all of this up. Okay, so once you have everything mixed up, then you take your egg roll wrappers. I use wonton wrappers, really any brand. I've used probably multiple different kinds of wonton wrappers, but I like the smaller ones because it makes them go longer. I've never done the bigger wrappers, so, and then you want to just put, I don't know, about a teaspoon size in the wrappers here. And actually that's probably a little bit too much. This is a very hands-on job, so if you're not one to want to get your hands dirty, this might not be for you. I will say also, I've always made these with ground pork, but you could probably do it with ground turkey or ground chicken. I don't know how it would be with ground beef. I suppose you could try it. And then I always do a little bit of dab on the top of water to kind of seal it. This is not the best sealed one, but it'll work. And then you get like the little small egg roll sizes. So my oil's already hot, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there. And then you just continue to repeat that until all of your egg rolls are done. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these, and then I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so the first ones are ready to start coming out. So this is the finished product of what the kimchi pork egg roll looks like. And you really want to cook them until they're a good golden brown. I'm going to leave these in there for a little bit longer. Okay, so here's the finished product. Here's the cabbage beef soup. Here's the egg rolls, and of course serve it with some rice, and I'll probably put some kimchi on my dish as well. So, one thing to know about cooking this meal, sorry, my kitchen is a mess behind me. One thing to know about cooking this meal is it is definitely a labor of love. I mean, it's easy, but there's a lot of prep that goes into it. So, normally I save this meal until the weekend. If I were to do just the soup by itself, the soup is really simple, and that could easily be a weeknight thing. It's actually really cheap to make too. So if you're on a budget, which who of us isn't on a budget, right? It's pretty affordable and pretty cheap, but the egg rolls are, I feel, a labor of love. They're delicious, they're awesome, and I love them, and I love my family. So that's why I make them. But comment below if you think that you will try these recipes out. Give me a thumbs up if you liked me doing a cooking video, and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in future videos. See you later. Bye.